Hello everyone and welcome back to the Football Tribe YouTube channel. Robert Kesakos is your usual suspect. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope everything is going smoothly for you. Yes, today I want us to discuss the ultimate transfer summer wish list for the Gunners. A lot has been said over the course of the season in regards to where their gaps are in the squad, their short in depth, and all that kind of thing. So, with all in the wake of more injuries to Kai Havertz, Bukayo Saka, Gabriel Martinelli, and everything that rotates around that. Never mind the likes of Tomiyasu who have hardly kicked a ball this season. I thought we should explore what Arsenal's options should be in the summer or their ultimate transfer wish list. And for me, it will take a team of 5 players. That's at best. Everything else will be a bonus for them. But should they get these players, then it will be deemed a good transfer window. In some cases, it could be a choice of one of 2 or 3 options, or in other cases, it wouldn't hurt if they went on to get both. However, knowing how the markets are and the transfer business in regards to finances and the controls, because the profit and sustainability rules have been maintained for further season in the Premier League as per the recent decision taken by the members of the Premier League, that's the clubs. Anyways, let's dive right into it. For me, we've spoken at length ever since last summer of how Arsenal need a striker. We've spoken at length how they've needed a winger to help Bukayo Saka. Because I thought, and just as much as many others out there, that Bukayo Saka was playing too many games. And again, like we've evidenced this season, it's resulted into an injury that has sent him to the sick bay for over a month and is just recovering. So clearly, this is, and then of course, we speak about this in relation to what we said about the players that could leave Arsenal this summer. We spoke about 14 players on that list. If you did miss that episode, do check it out on the channel. 14 players that will leave Arsenal in the summer. But anyway, here is the transfer wish list. Just run it through the 5 names. Benjamin Sesko. Is he my ideal candidate? No, not my number 1 candidate. It will be Alexander Isak. But initial reports had suggested that would be too expensive a deal for Arsenal to pull off to sign Alexander Isak from Newcastle. Those are the reports we were getting. It was being reported that Newcastle would demand anywhere between 120 to 150 million pounds if any club, especially from the Premier League, wanted to sign Alexander Isak. So, is it possible? We'll see. Then the other name is Nico Williams, a winger, Martin Zubimendi, a midfielder, and then Joan Garcia, a goalkeeper, and then Matthias Cunha. So let's look at these players a little bit in depth. Benjamin Sesko, of course, a Slovenian international striker, just 21 years of age, very tall, strong foot, he heads the ball well, good ball control, good team player, does have a bit of good holder play and all that. All round, he's a very decent striker. His numbers this season are not as convincing as they were last season because he's only managed 9 goals and 3 assists in 21 league games. But dating to as far back as last summer, going through the course of this season and even in January, Benjamin Sesko has been the name on the lips of the Arsenal minders as regards to transfer business is concerned. Now, of course, in the absence of Edu Gaspar Dawood, who has since stepped down from his role as technical director and Arsenal, and yet to replace him, it begs the question of who is going to be in charge of transfers. Is it going to be Richard Garlick and his comrades? I do not know. I'm not really certain. But again, we'll wait to see if Arsenal will look to make an appointment of a sporting director or a technical director, for that matter, before the start of the summer transfer window. We'll wait to see on that. So, Benjamin Sesko is a name that has been broadly discussed as far as Arsenal transfer business is concerned. And yet, we're yet to come to any conclusion in that respect. We move on to another player, and this is a forward player. But this is Nico Williams. Nico Williams is not having the season he had hoped to have. He's not having the season he would love to have. He's not having the season his suitors would have loved to watch him have. After looking very impressive last season and subsequently at the Euro 2024, winning the admiration of so many clubs, including Arsenal, Barcelona, Liverpool, Chelsea, not to mention Manchester United, and any other suitors that are out there. He's not had the season that he would have wanted because while he's still 22 years of age, of course, we do agree he's yet to hit his prime. But again, this season has been sort of a shocker for us who have been trying to follow him to see whether he can be consistent the way Lamine Yamal is trying to be at Barcelona. But he's just managed 1 goal and only 4 assists in 20 league games so far this season. So clearly, like I said, he's not having the season he had hoped to have, but I do not think that should forbid Arsenal from going ahead to sign him. He's a player they've widely scouted. He's a player they've followed a good amount of time. He's Arsenal's #1 choice for a winger. And we all know that as much as we criticize him for it, because personally I do not appreciate it or like it, Mikel Arteta does wait out on his signings if he really wants them. He's waited it out, I think, on a striker because he wanted Benjamin Sesko and maybe Alexander Isak. That's why last summer when he couldn't get either, he did not sign anyone. Victor Gyökeres has been always mentioned, but he's never really, I think, been too serious. He did like Dusan Vlahovic, but he did accept that one slipped away and joined Juventus. He did like Manuel Locatelli, but again he accepted that one did slip away and joined Juventus. But again, he has a habit of waiting it out, so I wouldn't be surprised if he sticks to his guns and signs Nico Williams. So, but those are his numbers. Then Martin Zubimendi, another player that has been widely discussed as far as Arsenal transfers are concerned, as far as suitors are concerned. Very decent Spanish holding midfielder. He's in the mold of more of a Jorginho than a Thomas Partey. That's why in our argument, or the arguments that I did make when we were enlisting about players that could potentially leave Arsenal in the summer, while we spoke about Thomas Partey, we did say that it would serve Arsenal better if they retained Thomas Partey. And then, of course, we all know that the writing is on the wall that Jorginho will be leaving at the end of the season to join Flamengo if nothing changes. That it would serve them better to keep Thomas Partey alongside Martin Zubimendi if they are able to land him. Of course, they did make advancements in January towards signing him. They do have some pre-agreements on player side and some assurances on club side, but you can never rule anything out until a player is holding that Arsenal jersey because it's never over. A Real Madrid can swoop in last minute. A Barcelona can swoop in last minute and take the player. It could be a Liverpool who were really keen on signing him last summer and then he chose to stay at Real Sociedad. So Martin Zubimendi, 26 years of age at Real Sociedad, doesn't score so many goals. I think last season he did score 4 goals. This season he's only scored 1 and provided 1 assist in 23 games. So I did watch him. I think on Thursday in their Europa League game, he did come off the bench. I think they were playing Midtjylland. Yes. Now, knowing that Arsenal do have goalkeeper Neto from AFC Bournemouth on a season-long loan, I would think that they will be in the market to sign a more permanent goalkeeper who is an understudy or a number 2 to David Wire. Remember, they had Aaron Ramsdale, who they sold off to Southampton, and they need a replacement for that. So they did try to sign this player last summer, but eventually they could not agree to terms with his parent club, that's Espanyol, and the player is none other than Joan Garcia, 23 years of age, goalkeeper, Spanish international, good with his feet, very good ball-playing goalkeeper, and really, what better? I do not think over the last 2 seasons there's a better goalkeeper to learn from, a young goalkeeper, than David Wire. Maybe we could make a case for the likes of Alson Wan-Bissaka at Liverpool, Ederson Morales at Man City, who, by the way, did provide an assist to Omar Mamush over the weekend as Man City beat up against Newcastle by 4 goals to 0. So clearly, for me, I think uh, Johan Garcia Arsenal should be looking to land him as that number 2 goalkeeper during the course of the summer. Anyways, allow me to add this. Like I said when I was speaking about Benjamin Sesko, it wouldn't hurt if Arsenal got 2 strikers actually. If they got Benjamin Sesko and Alexander Isak. Because again, like I was saying when we were speaking about players that could leave Arsenal in the summer, Gabriel Jesus was one of those players. Should he recover on time to leave the club in the summer, Arsenal may not be able to get much out of him in terms of financial value, but I would let Gabriel Jesus leave. And I would go ahead, if the finances do allow, if the conditions do allow, go ahead and sign Alexander Isak and Benjamin Sesko. Do not mind about game time. Why? Because as we've observed, Alexander Isak is not immune to injuries that may keep him out of a couple of games in the course of the season. Very decent Swedish international, 17 goals to his name already this season in the Premier League. I mean, we all know about his prowess. He's a good runner, good dribbler, quite tall, so good in the air, good on his feet, his hold-up play, equally good, and all that kind of thing. We can speak all the good things about him. So it wouldn't hurt if Arsenal got to strike, both strikers. But for me, if it were a choice of one between the two, I'd go for Alexander Isak. For the mere fact that he's proven him already in the Premier League. I'd wanted Arsenal to sign him before he joined Newcastle when he was still at Real Sociedad. For me, I did appreciate him in the early days when he was playing with Martin Odegaard, who had been on loan for Real Madrid at the time, Real Sociedad. So there's that bit. So Alexander Isak is a very, very much appreciated player. And I do think many Arsenal fans out there would agree with me on that assessment or on that choice, that if you had to choose between Benjamin Sesko and Alexander Isak, who would be your number 1 target? I think many would say Alexander Isak. But again, it wouldn't hurt if they signed both. Like I said, there's so many games to play across of the season. Of course, when the season has just kicked off, usually there are few, but with the new format of the UEFA Champions League, there's just too many games for players to play, the cup competitions, and bearing in mind that you do not want to rely on that one player as prolific as they may be, because their legs tire. That's what has led to the injuries for the likes of Bukayo Saka. Kai Havertz was running himself in the ground in the aftermath of Arsenal's 1-0 victory against Wolves, where they had to play for a good chunk of the game with a madness. People thought he was actually injured. He literally had to be helped to walk to the dressing room. He was that tired. He had run himself into the ground. But because Arsenal did not have the options, because they had lost Gabriel Jesus to injury, he had to play the following games. And he did play them well. He did score against Man City. But guess what? His body couldn't hold it anymore, and he tore his hamstring during that training camp in Dubai. So for those of you that did miss that particular episode, do check it out on the channel where we spoke about, Kai Havertz. I think the title to the video is another Arsenal star out for the rest of the season. You get. So, anyways, another player that I would add for the ultimate transfer wish list is Matthias Cunha. Matthias Cunha from Wolverhampton Wanderers. Very, very good player. He was being quoted by Arsenal, of course, in the course of January. Nottingham Forest expressed interest, but he ended up signing a contract extension at Wolverhampton Wanderers. But reports do suggest that he has a release clause in that contract, or an agreement, a gentleman's agreement, that should a suitor, maybe possibly a team in UEFA Champions League, do come for him, they should just give him the green light to leave the club, because he signed that contract as a show of loyalty to help Wolves throughout the course of this particular season and potentially help save them from relegation. So he's one of those players that I do appreciate. He has, I think, 12 goals so far in the Premier League this season and about 4 assists. in 24 games played. Yes, he did miss, I think, one game so far this season. So for me, I would add the Brazilian international to the list of the top five signings that Arsenal should make in the summer, or the ultimate transfer wish list for Arsenal this summer. The other names that have been mentioned in the context of signing players and strikers for Arsenal has been Lautaro Martinez, 27-year-old Argentine international at Inter Milan. This season he's been not the best for him. He can do better, but again, he did score. Was it on the weekend? Yes. And then the other player has been Marcus Thuram, again at Inter Milan, 27 years of age, French international. Is another player that has been mentioned, quite appreciated. And of course, it goes without saying that Victor Gyökeres is one of those players that has not left the lips of pundits, of journalists, and all speculators for as far as Arsenal needs for a striker go. He's 26, but he does turn 27 in the summer. I do understand that United have consideration to sign him, but I think there was a hiccup to those plans in regards to the transfer fees, because United may be limited in terms of transfer business unless they do make significant sales in terms of players to bring in money that can help them reinvest in that squad. Largely because of PSR rules. Every club is fighting tooth and nail to stay on the right of the PSR rules and that kind of thing. But those are the other names that have been mentioned in regards to Arsenal's needs for a forward and or as far as the transfer business is concerned. Victor Gyökeres, 22 goals in the league and 4 assists in 21 games. I mean, he's proven himself as far as at Sporting Lisbon is concerned and the Portuguese league, but can he cut it in the Premier League? We don't know. You can never be too certain. You just take a bet on these players and hope that everything does work out. So for me, that's the ultimate summer transfer wish list for Arsenal. Like I told you, my top 5 players are either of Alexander Isak or Benjamin Sesko, Nico Williams, Martin Zubimendi, Joan Garcia, and Matthias Cunha. Any addition to that would be a bonus. And the reason as to why I want Arsenal to sign Matthias Cunha is because it's not that you get an alternative for Martin Odegaard directly, but you get that player that pops from the midfield and forward and scores goals. A player in the mold, for as far as Arsenal examples go, in the mold of an Emil Smith-Rowe. He has gone by in the mold of Aaron Ramsey. Run out of midfield, pop around the box and score goals. He's a good number 10. You get. I find that very, very impressive about him. But anyway, do let me know what your thoughts are about that transfer wish list and your other views. Should our opinions change in regards to this wish list, in regards to the context of the game, in regards to the possibilities of what's possible as far as the transfer window is concerned? We'll return here and let you know. But for now, give us your thoughts down in the comment section about that wish list. What do you guys think? Which other player do you think Arsenal should look out to sign in the course of the summer? Do they need a defender, knowing that Kieran Tierney will be leaving the club? Do they need a left back? I do think that the discovery of Miles Lewis Kelly sort of covers that possibility when you have, Ricardo Carafiori. If Takahiro Tomiyasu does leave the club, do you need a replacement? When you have Jakub Kiwior, maybe you need cover at right back, where you have Jurriën Timber. But then you also have Ben White. He's recovered from injury. So do let me know what your thoughts are, and I'll see you next time. Stay blessed.